Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at Lorenz's 1935 animal study, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of attachment. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Lorenz, 1935, conducted an animal study to investigate whether imprinting influences attachment behavior in animals. Lorenz conducted a field experiment where he randomly divided 12 fertilized goose eggs. Half were hatched with the mother goose in their natural environment, control group, where the first moving object they saw was their mother, and the other half were hatched in an incubator where the first moving object they saw was Lorenz, experimental group. He then marked the gooselings to distinguish between the groups and mixed the groups together to see who they would follow. The behavior of all gooselings was recorded. Lorenz varied the time between birth and seeing a moving object so he could measure the critical period for imprinting. Lorenz found that the incubator group followed him whereas the control group followed the mother goose. He also found that birds who imprinted on humans would then later in life, once matured, only attempt to mate with humans. Lorenz concluded that the gooseling's behavior was a result of imprinting, whereby bird species that are mobile from birth attach to and follow the first moving object they see. This only occurred if the animal was exposed to a moving object during a critical period, which was found to be within the first 2 days of their life, although the strongest imprint was 13 to 16 hours after birth, and was irreversible once established. If imprinting does not occur within that time, Lorenz found that gooselings did not attach themselves to a mother figure. In a follow-up study, Lorenz investigated the relationship between imprinting and adult mate preferences. He found that birds that imprinted on a human would later display courtship behavior towards humans. In a case study, Lorenz, 1952, described a peacock that had been reared in the reptile house of a zoo where the first moving objects the peacock saw after hatching were giant tortoises. As an adult, this bird would only direct courtship behavior towards giant tortoises. Lorenz concluded that imprinting had an impact on mate preferences, sexual imprinting. Lorenz's animal study has several strengths and limitations. A strength of Lorenz's study is that there is research to support the concept of imprinting. Regolin and Valortigera, 1995, supports Lorenz's idea of imprinting. Chicks were exposed to simple shape combinations that moved, such as a triangle with a rectangle in front. A range of shape combinations were then moved in front of them, and they followed the original most closely. This is a strength because it suggests that young bird species are born with an innate mechanism to imprint on a moving object present in the critical window of development, as predicted by Lorenz. A strength of Lorenz's study is that it has explanatory power. Human attachment is very different from that of birds, however, there have been attempts to use some kind of imprinting to explain human attachment behavior. Seabark, 2005, suggested that computer users exhibit baby duck syndrome, which is the attachment formed to their first computer operating system, leading them to reject others. This is a strength because it suggests that the concept of baby duck syndrome among computer users parallels the imprinting behavior seen in birds, offering a novel way to consider human attachment behaviors through the lens of imprinting. A strength of Lorenz's study is that it has external validity. Lorenz's conclusion of a critical period for gooselings is supported by Bowlby. Lorenz concluded that the gooselings needed to imprint within a critical period of 30 hours, or they would never imprint. Bowlby later found that human infants needed to form an attachment within a critical period of 30 months, or an attachment would not form. This suggests that there may be some key similarities between gooselings and humans. Lorenz also found that imprinting appears to impact later sexual behavior, which was also supported Bowlby's internal working model explanation, which suggested early attachment would affect later relationships, including sexual behavior. This is a strength because it implies that Lorenz's study on imprinting in gooselings aligns with Bowlby's observations on attachment in human infants, highlighting similarities in critical periods for imprinting and attachment between gooselings and humans. The impact of early attachments on later sexual behavior supports the connection between imprinting and human behavior as noted by Bowlby's internal working model explanation. A strength of Lorenz's study is that it has high ecological validity. Lorenz conducted a field experiment where the environment closely mimicked natural behaviors observed in animals, such as ducks and geese, during the critical period of imprinting. By conducting experiments in a naturalistic setting and observing how these animals naturally interacted with their environment, Lorenz was able to capture authentic behaviors and attachment processes that are relevant to their survival and social interactions in the wild. This is a strength because it suggests that Lorenz's study accurately reflected natural behaviors and attachment processes in animals like ducks and geese, providing insights into their genuine interactions and social dynamics in their natural habitat. A strength of Lorenz's study is that his findings support the case for attachment itself being biological in nature. Imprinting shows how animals are biologically programmed to form a special relationship in the same way attachment is explained to occur with a primary caregiver and infant. Imprinting was found to occur only with nidifugous birds and not all birds. This is a strength because it suggests that Lorenz's study provides evidence for the biological basis of attachment, illustrating how animals, like nidifugous birds, are inherently programmed to form specific relationships, mirroring the attachment dynamics seen between primary caregivers and infants. A strength of Lorenz's study is that it has practical real-world implications. Imprinting in birds has led to practical real-world applications. Imprinting migratory birds to microlight aircraft to teach them migratory flight paths has been used successfully to reintroduce birds to areas where they have become extinct. This is a strength because it suggests that Lorenz's research on imprinting in birds not only contributes to scientific knowledge but also has practical applications in conservation efforts, such as reintroducing extinct bird populations using innovative techniques like imprinting to microlight aircraft. A strength of Lorenz's study is that it has good reliability. Numerous studies have replicated Lorenz's work and found similar findings showing this animal study into attachment has reliability. Tun, 1966, showed how leghorn chicks would become attached to yellow rubber gloves when used to feed them. This suggests that imprinting occurs with any objects that are moving within the time-critical period of 2 days, not just living objects. These chicks would also try and mate with the gloves later in life, suggesting that imprinting affects sexual behavior later in life. This is a strength because it suggests that Lorenz's study on imprinting in birds is reliable and applicable beyond living objects, influencing later sexual behavior, as shown by Ton's research with leghorn chicks attaching to yellow rubber gloves. However, Tun, 1966, later found that chickens who had imprinted themselves to yellow rubber gloves and tried to mate with them would later begin mating with other chickens provided they spent enough time with them. This is a limitation because it suggests that imprinting may have a learnt element, and it may not be completely biological in nature. A limitation of Lorenz's study is that the findings and conclusions drawn cannot be generalized from birds to humans. The mammalian attachment system is quite different and more complex than that in birds. For example, mammals' attachment is a two-way process, so it is not just the young who become attached to their mothers, and mammalian mothers show an emotional attachment to their young. Furthermore, human attachment is not likely to be such a quick process, and humans develop into maturity much slower than birds. Birds also have different survival requirements than human, with birds needing to fly and be equipped to migrate into different environments. Birds have specialized feathers and wings for flight, which humans do not possess. Additionally, birds often have specific dietary needs, such as a high-protein diet, to support their energy demands for flying and maintaining body temperature, whereas humans have a more varied and flexible diet. Another distinction is birds' reliance on nests or specific habitats for breeding and shelter, which is not a survival requirement for humans who have developed varied forms of shelter and social structures for protection and reproduction. This is a limitation because it suggests that the differences between mammalian and avian attachment systems make it challenging to generalize findings from bird studies to humans. A limitation of Lorenz's study is that it is unethical. Some of the gooselings in Lorenz's study were imprinted onto him. This is not natural, and Lorenz found that imprinting was irreversible and permanent once it had occurred. This means that the gooselings were unable to develop properly and would have most likely found it hard to develop and form in the real world. This is a limitation because it suggests that the imprinting process in Lorenz's study, where gooselings were imprinted onto him, was not natural and could have hindered the gooselings' proper development, making it challenging for them to adapt and function effectively in the real world. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.